Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday worship service. I am Nancy Nelson.
I'm Rodney Fry.
We are co-worship leaders this morning. We're part of the new shared worship ministry team, which leads services during Reverend Elizabeth Stevens' breaks. I am a longtime member of this service, of this church, where I have found a beloved community. I grew up in a mainstream Protestant community church in Eastern Washington. My husband David and I raised our daughters Amanda and Kate in this church and continue to be inspired and challenged by the people of this congregation.
I was first introduced to Unitarian Universalism a while back. I was a grad student at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, and it was the Foothills Unitarian Church that I belonged back in the 70s. Since then, my journey has taken me to many locations, visited many peoples, many churches, and I've grown in my spirituality as a result. About 7 years ago, I rediscovered Unitarian Universalism here in this beautiful, beautiful congregation. And shortly after, I became a member. It's been wonderful. And we both really are pleased that you're going to join us participating in the service today.
We'd like to extend a special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We are very glad that you are here. If you've come in person, you should have received a welcome packet and an information card in it. You can fill it out and drop it in the offering basket. We will be in touch to support you in finding your way into our community. If you are joining us online, there's a link in our website to an electronic version of the same card. Our welcoming committee members have yellow name tags and can answer any questions or point you toward additional information. Whether you are new or not, please consider staying for coffee and conversation after the service, either downstairs in our fellowship hall or in our Zoom room. Now, let's say our words of welcome together. Whether this is your first or your 1000th Sunday with us, whether you strolled, rolled, Zoomed, ran, or danced in, we are glad you chose to join us. We are one people of many beliefs and identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. All are welcome here. Now we will take a moment to say hello across our technical divide. First, we're going to show the people joining us on Zoom. If you are at home, please turn on your camera. And people at home, wave. Now, people who are attending the service in our building, it's our turn to wave. We do have a couple of announcements. Today is the perfect day to go to the pool, and it's UUCP Pool Day, 2 to 4. Free entry and treats, and everyone is welcome. Also, please look for the sign up for next week's Pride celebration. It'll be you can find a link on our email, on our website, in the Facebook, and we will be having a table at the Pride event from 12 to 4 on Saturday. Please consider stopping by the table if you don't volunteer. Here end the announcements.
We preface our service by acknowledging that our church was built on the ancestral lands, the homeland of the Nimipu, meaning the people, and called Nez Perce by French-speaking traders who falsely identified them as having pierced noses. The homeland of the Paluspum, their name for themselves referring to the rock in the river near their head village on the Snake. And perhaps unable to pronounce it correctly, Euro-Americans reduce it to Palouse. And the homeland of the Sichumch, meaning the ones found here, referring to their creation point, Lake Coeur d'Alene, and named by the French trappers and traders, Coeur d'Alene, meaning heart of the all. because the French had a difficult time trading with the Coeur d'Alene, the Sichons. So let us shed the yoke of Euro-American society and their names and pause and remember that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that cries out for justice and responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and their peoples. Following Martha and Lauren's wonderful worship service last week, focusing on meditation, our service today is going to focus on another aspect of the Sunday service, our chalice lighting. And so we wonder, why is this ritual so important that we do it every Sunday? What's in it? What does it mean to us as individuals and collectively as a group? Does it have meaning beyond this room? We know it all starts with light. So we'll share some personal experiences with light, then share some stories that light helps make the world, as well as a story of light created by the Unitarian Universalist chalice. So let's light our chalice. We're hoping folks joining us via Zoom have a chalice or a candle to light and a match to do so. Let's light our chalice together. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share.
Our opening words. A spark, maybe from a breath on an ember, or a strike with steel and flint, or a scraping of match on rough paper, or perhaps from a bolt, but not a whole bolt, maybe just a string of lightning. A flicker as flames attach themselves to the soft, fuzzy, yielding, tender string. A wick pulling from a vessel of oil, or a wick with a stick of paraffin, or wrapped in the former house of a bee larva, or yes, I suppose it could be from the fat of a steer, but I think that's unlikely today, thank goodness. And yes, spark, flicker, flame becomes heat and light, thanks to oxygen and fuel, creating a tiny combustion that is, my favorite part, self-propagating. Imagine that, self-propagating light. That changes everything.
Our opening hymn is based upon a well-known African-American gospel, sung by children in the 1920s. Who wrote it? Still a mystery. By the 1960s, it was connected with the civil rights movement, connecting light with justice and light with equity. Please rise. seated. Now let's take a moment to engage in the practice of generosity. Together, of sharing what burns deep within us to help light the path of someone else. For those able to make a financial contribution, the logistics are seen on your screen. We typically give away all the cash from our Sunday offering to local charities whose missions align with our values, a program called Month of Sundays. This month, the recipient is Pullman Planned Parenthood, whose mission is to provide exceptional reproduction and complementary health care services, honest education, and fearless advocacy for all. To donate, please indicate Month of Sundays on your check or on the online drop-down menu. In the spirit of love and for the continuing work of this church, we will now take time to practice generosity together, to spill a little light for others. Thank you, Fran. This will be our second story of a personal nature. And I ask, what is the special thing that can be created with light? I was driving back home in the 1970s, and spent the summer on the Crow Indian Reservation. It was a great summer. It was a great summer. A very staticky summer. I can just do this. It takes a village. Let's have two mics. Was it because I didn't shave this morning?
That might be part of it.
Well, this is the second story, a more of a personal nature, and asking the question, another thing, another object, another special thing that can be created with light. I was driving back from the Crow Indian Reservation in Montana, 1970s, a summer of great interviews with elders, and I was just feeling right. driving back home to Colorado along the interstate. And in that day, the speed limit was Montana? No speed limit. I'm sure I was going a reasonable speed. And it had rained heavily just before I set out, and the sky was still dark, really dark with rain clouds. For a day, dark. As I was driving south, all of a sudden, light came through the clouds, and there was the sun, bright, and the clouds dissipated. And as I looked around me, there was more static. This is going to be a long story. Usually they're quite short. Isn't the suspense growing?
We're just going to switch this out altogether.
I can speak from here, really. Let's not worry about all that effort. I hate to say no, but why don't we just do it this way?
Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, in the beginning. So I was driving south, and the sun had broken through all this light. And as I looked out toward the east, what did I see but a fantastic rainbow, a perfect rainbow with all the vivid colors from arc. The whole arc was there. It was incredible. And I just thought, this is something special. This sort of tops off that wonderful summer I had with those great interviews. And I was feeling really good with that rainbow that came out shining bright. And I began to wonder, as I was driving south at the speed limit, that rainbow was keeping pace with me. That's interesting. Going south all the way to Colorado with me. And a hill would come up, and that rainbow would get close. And the terrain would flatten out, and the rainbow would go further away. But it kept pace with me. In fact, I slowed down to try to snap a picture of it. And it slowed down for me. It accommodated me. It was incredible. And then I was wondering, those folks going the speed limit, the opposite of direction, did they see my rainbow going this way as they went that way? Did they see my rainbow? And I asked myself, what does it take to create a rainbow? What are the ingredients? Perfect. You start with light. There's not a lot of rainbows at midnight. I mean, we do have the northern lights, but not a lot of rainbows at night. What else? Moisture, right? Moisture molecules from the rain that had just been in the sky. And what else that is needed without of which there would be no rainbow? An observer, absolutely, Dana. Got it. You need you. You have to be part of the relationship, right? That's why the rainbow went with me, and they probably had other rainbows going that way, all in relationship with you. The sun, water, you. Having a physical sensation of it, and perhaps also, and why I thought it was meaningful, a cognitive, mental conceptualization of rainbow as well. It took all those parts. And I realized probably for the first time, I don't want to get too philosophical, but it did remind me of process theology, how light is interconnected with others and you. Light does not exist in isolation. Light is a participatory relationship with others and you. If there's no relationship, there's no rainbow. As a result of the interconnected relationship, light is co-created into a transformation with others, mist and you, each necessary to transform a darkened sky into a lit rainbow. Another expression of self-propagating light. Light shedding light on light.
Our third story of personal light is from Reverend Dr. Laura Solomon, she, her, who is the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading, Massachusetts. She wrote, "When someone confronted me with the question, 'How important is it to you that you're queer?' I couldn't answer. Unsure whether to feel confused or insulted, I fumbled awkwardly through the conversation. It felt like there should be an answer, a way to quantify the importance of my queerness in concrete ways. A few days later, the answer arrived unexpectedly. I was flipping through the skirts in my local Goodwill. I was wearing a shirt declaring love is love and a mask with rainbows. Soon, I noticed a teenager hovering nearby. They were tall and slender, wearing a super long, bulky cargo pants and a long sleeve shirt that hung past their fingertips. Their hair was dyed black, shaved on one side and long and silky on the other. "Hey," they finally said, "I like your mask." "Oh, thanks," I said. "I love rainbows." Rainbows. I held up a skirt and asked their opinion. The teenager nodded, cheeks turning pink, and affirmed, "It's really cute." "I thought so too," I said. I gestured down the row to their approximate size. "They've got some cute stuff today." They nodded, then disappeared. A few moments later, I glanced down the row and saw them running their fingers over the skirts. They looked at me nervously, and I smiled. "Good luck," I said as I walked away, but I don't think they heard me. They were holding a long, shimmery skirt that reminded me of a mermaid tail, and they were studying the way the fabric caught the light. I suppose they're my answer. That teen with the mermaid skirt, that my body could signal safety to a teen in Goodwill, is the only answer I could ever give. My queerness is that important as their life and their necessity in this world. It's as simple as a rainbow mask and as beautiful as a galaxy of identity. Our queerness is as important as haircuts and rainbows, signaling safety and love. It is as important as mermaid skirts, sequins, and cargo pants. To be queer is to know the ways of holding each other. To be queer is to know the ways of holding all that shimmers to the light. And that is the end of her story. So, a flashlight in a cave, a rainbow, a mermaid skirt. What story of light do you have? What object shared a shimmer that guided you on? Let you believe that darkness was not the condition you live in. That piece of paper we handed you out is for you to make a little picture, write a word or two, but mostly think and reflect for just a moment about a story in your life represented by light. Think of something that will remind you of that time of light. So go ahead, pick up your pen, find your paper, or just hold it and think about it. Make your picture. Write your word. You won't be asked to turn it in. It's just for you. And maybe to share with somebody if you want to later on. So now we're going to light another chalice. We're going to light this one to honor the light in our lives, the light that rescues, caresses, cares, loves us. And we have words for our second chalice lighting. Join me. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. With this light, we go forth through the shadows of our paths with love.
Thank you, Ashira. Thank you, Sam. That was beautiful. Now, let us reflect on the light carried forth into the world, shared in our collective stories. In the beginning of Yahweh's creation of the heavens and the earth, The earth was outstandingly empty, and darkness the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Yahweh hovered over the face of the water, as written in the Torah. In the beginning, there was no earth, no animals, no people, not even sun, nor moon, nor stars, no light. Just great darkness and an endless sea. Above there was a place where all potential lived, what would be. Land, water, sky, plant peoples, animal peoples, fish peoples, even human-like peoples. As spoken by the Iroquois. In the beginning, all matter and energy, all that would become, was bottled up into a super dense, super hot, infinitely tiny dot known as a singularity. All else was in void, without place, without time. All else was dark. All else was lifeless. So theorized scientists. And Yahweh said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And the light was good. And Yahweh separated the light from the darkness and called the night and the day. And the waters were separated to an expanse above and below. And beneath the heavens the dry appeared. And Yahweh said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation." And the vegetation came forth, as did the waters swarm with living creatures, as did fowl flew in the heavens. And Yahweh blesses them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the sea, and let the fowl multiply upon the earth." And it is good, as written in the Torah. A young woman sat at the edge of the sky world looking down. Just then a tender breeze blew up, and she was with child. As she went to stand, she fell forward and fell down to the world below. She was Sky Woman. As there was only waters below, the people recognized her dilemma and came to her rescue. Bird peoples slowing her fall, beaver peoples diving deep and bringing up mud, and the great turtle person resting on the watery sea, covered with the mud brought up by the beavers. This became Turtle Island. As she landed gently, she gave birth to her first son, Maple Sapling. And then another son came out, but came out the wrong way, the fastest way, the shortcut, and it was dark. And the mother dies. Maple Sapling takes the head and throws it to the sky, and Sky Woman becomes the sun, bringing light and warmth, and it is good. He buries her into the earth, and she brings forth plant and fish and animal peoples, and it is good. But Flint tries to undo everything, bringing forth thorns and poisonous plants and harmful serpents and lizards. It's bad. And so it is with all peoples, are relative, interconnected, all nourished by Sky Woman, all striving for good over bad, light over dark, as spoken by the Iroquois. Around 13.8 billion years ago, give or take a billion, in an instant, in a very rapid expansion, a bang, in fact, a big bang. In fact, expanding for the rest of time. From that infinitely tiny, that infinitely dense, that infinitely hot dot came the universe. A boiling soup of subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. And then the universe began to cool. protons and neutrons began to organize into atoms. At this point, there was still no light, no stars, no time. This was referred to as the dark cosmic ages. But finally, as the protons broke free, light shone across the universe, emerging into nuclear furnaces called stars, each generating new light. Ours turned out to come about 4.6 billion years ago, give or take a billion, and light flooded the blue planet, interacting with carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, interacting with air, interacting with water, interacting with earth. And from that interaction, the first life came forth. Microbes emerged about 3.7 billion years ago, as theorized by scientists. Now, we've got three stories. Three stories of the origin of light. Very different stories, different traditions, different ways of knowing the world. And I ask, what is in common? What do they share in common? Consider, in each, from the dark, not quite nothing, to the light of everything. From dark to light, from dark to interdependency, from dark to transformation. Consider in each light interacting with other elements, earth, water, air, ultimately you. Each element acting interdependent, each in relationship, each part of a dynamic web, just as in a rainbow. And it is good. Consider in each, from that interdependency, from that relationship comes transformation, comes life. From that unselfish relationship, by another name, comes love. And it is good.
There is a story of light we haven't heard yet. There is a story we've been waiting to tell. Can you anticipate what story it is? It's the story of the chalice. And it comes from dark. 1939. It was a very dark time. Germany had invaded Poland even as Roosevelt declared U.S. neutrality. Nazis hunted Jewish intellectuals throughout Germany and France, and families were fleeing the advancing authoritarian brutalities. In this dark year, the Reverend Waitzel Sharp and his wife, social worker Martha Sharp, answered a call from their Unitarian denomination asking for people to help others evade the Nazis to reach Lisbon, Spain, where they could board ships for the U.S. So the Sharps began to organize, they were also seeking people to help organize the transport of children whose families were trying to send them to safety. The Sharps answered the call and began to work. They used whatever tools they could to guide people to safety, hiding people, paying bribes, creating new identities for refugees. Their work led to the foundation of the Unitarian Service Committee, bringing more resources to the work of saving people from the horrors of advancing through Europe, the horrors that were advancing through Europe. Now, people fleeing chaos have to cross international borders that are often run chaotically. And they have to go through these checkpoints without identification papers, having left everything behind or having papers that no longer work to meet the demands of the checkpoints they're going through. The Unitarian Service Committee found itself called upon to create travel documents that would persuade people that they should be allowed to go through. And they wanted a seal to give the documents a feeling of authenticity. They asked an Austrian refugee artist named Hans Deutsch to create the design for that seal. In a report to the Unitarian Church in Boston describing the symbol, it was described as a chalice with a flame, the kind of chalice which the Greeks and Romans put on their altars. The holy oil burning in it is a symbol of helpfulness and sacrifice. This symbol of light in response to the darkness of genocide is the origin story of our chalice. The ritual lighting of a chalice to begin at UU service was gradually adopted by congregations and didn't become widespread until the 70s. Today, it is a ubiquitous UU symbol. We wear it on clothes and t-shirts and necklaces. We decorate our churches with it. It is a flame of hope and a link to our principles and a history of participating in the liberation of all people. That is the story of where our chalice came from, but I wonder, where should the light go? What dark places would benefit from this flame? I know when we work to feed hungry people with our little free food pantry and weekend food for kids, we are sharing that light. When we welcome everyone, celebrate pluralism, we are sharing light. When we gather to learn the deep lessons of our UU principles and history, we are preparing to carry chalice light into the world. But still, I wonder, where is it needed that we don't see yet? So, on the back of your paper, if you can think of a place that you would like our light to shine, make a sketch, write a word, something that can capture a bit of your idea. Where is our UU chalice light needed?
On this example, there will be a quiz. Kidding. We will now light the chalice for the third time. Recognized it has light not only for ourselves, but for the world. Let us say these words together. We kindle our chalice flame, awakening the fire of our ancestors in the hearts, beacon of freedom held out to light the way. Light of reason, illuminating the path, spark of courage, igniting our spirits, aglow with hope for all we endeavor to do together. Holy flame of times past, brighten the present moment, and that.
Sorry, I didn't realize there was a second page.
Oh.
Holy flame.
Time past. Ignited. Both.
Is what we are, and
Thank you so much. We have a reading as we draw to the end of our stories. This reading is from Reverend Teresa Soto, and they were the minister when Reverend Elizabeth was on sabbatical last time, so some people may remember her. This is from their book, Spilling the Light. To what have we promised ourselves? To this moment in time and place, to this community, and even tenderly interconnected this planet. We promise ourselves to the ideas that we are each and all human beings. We promise that there is something moving between us that we cannot see and we cannot measure. The chalice is a reminder that what flame we keep inside, we cannot light the way. The light must spill to shine. I feel like the order is quite wrong. I'm going to do this, and then I'll do that. Okay. Slight change of order. We've celebrated our chalice and the love and light it shares. Now we're going to extinguish it. Join me in saying our words as we extinguish these chalices. We extinguish these chalices that they might glow gently in our hearts. May they light our paths as we leave this place. May they guide our way until we are together again. Please join in the musical benediction that we have every Sunday as we draw our services to a close.
Please be seated. These are words for our ending benediction. Light as it was in the beginning, light as it is reignited, self-propagating each and every day. Light of Yahweh, of the Sky Woman, of the Big Bang. Light of a darkened cave, light of a rainbow, light shimmering off a rainbow mask or a mermaid skirt. Light of a chalice. Light of equity, light of justice, light of generosity, light of pluralism, light of interdependence, and light of transformation, and light of love. Let this perennial light of our chalices, this ever-burning, untrammeled light of our kindred hearts, spill forth to shine today and all days. And remember, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now you know why I'm not in the chorus. We invite you to share your drawings, your words together after the service, or perhaps downstairs in the fellowship hall over coffee. And please go in peace with light. We love you.